Hello everyone, I'm Sean Smarty Pants Hogan,
I'm Ben Concord Pacific,
and this is Couch's Corner.
sponsored by Spam.
In this segment, we're going to talk about hockey games with unexpected and interesting outcomes. We will discuss the most intense turnarounds in history. We're going to start with the Toronto Maple Leafs loss to the Boston Bruins in 2013.
Don't you mean to make me laugh, Sean?
It's interesting, the Leafs had a 4-1 lead and they let it slip away.
Oh, what a surprise.
I'm not a Leafs fan, but it didn't bother me, so I still said, take that!
Wow, Sean, you are such an hater.
There are people I know who bleed the Leafs. They would have hated that outcome. I know my buddy Andrew Simmons would have been swearing at them with that kind of loss. He would have let them have it. I know the Leafs have diehard fans, but my favorite is the Calgary Flames. Now what about you, Ben?
My favorite team is the Buffalo Sabres.
Oh, you mean the one that hasn't made it there since 1945? Let's discuss the next upsetting game for the Toronto Maple Leafs. The game took place in Boston at TD Garden. The Leafs took a 4-1 lead. The game was going well for the Leafs. The Leafs fans thought that it was in the bag.
Confident Leaf fans, what else is new?
Unfortunately, in the third period, the tables turned. Boston began to fight back.
No wonder the Leafs are blue. They have been choking since 1967.
Nathan Horton is an outstanding player for the Bruins. He scored a goal to make it 4-2. I'll bet the Leafs fans were starting to throw things.
Maple Leaf Square was getting nervous.
Next, we had another goal by David Krejci. The crowd was starting to get angry and nervous. How could the Leafs be so careless?
Because they are the Toronto Make Me Laughs.
Shortly after that, Milan Lucic scored a goal to make it 4-4.
The Leafs are going to blow it in overtime because they have a bad head coach in Randy Cartaya.
Tensions were high going into overtime. The fans were irate at this turn of events. The Bruins fans were going out of their minds with euphoria. Patrice Bergeron scored a goal to make the Bruins the winners. Final score was 5-4.
And they won the series 4-3, and they will rebuild until 2017.
I was overjoyed at the win. I was razzing all the Leafs fans out there. I said to my friend Don, as far as I'm concerned, they're still the Toronto Make Me Laughs. Even though I'm not a Bruins fan, I was still rooting for them over the Leafs. Way to go, Leafs, you still made my day. This is Couch's Corner, Part 2, the greatest upsets in hockey. I'm your host, Sean Smarty Pants Hogan.
And I'm Ben Concord Pacific. The Miracle on Manchester was played on April 10th, 1982. The game was played at the Forum in Inglewood, California.
A very historic building. The Lakers play there too.
The two teams that played that night was the Edmonton Oilers
They were a very strong team at the time,
and the Los Angeles Kings.
who had a never say die attitude.
The Kings were down 5 goals heading into the third period.
This is when things heated up.
Jay Wells ended Grant Field's shutout into 2:46 into the third period. Doug Smith made it 5-2 at 5:58. Then at the 14:38 mark of the third period, Charlie Simmer makes it 5-3. Then at the 15:59 mark of the period, Mark Harvey makes it an 1-goal game.
The Kings fans were euphoric.
The game was great and we got to see history in the making. The Kings never gave up because the Oilers were the top team in the division. It was an extremely competitive game. Then with 5 seconds left in the game, Steve Bozek tied up the game for the Kings. The Oilers had Wayne Gretzky, Mark Messier, and Grant Fuhr. What a stacked team.
That's right, Ben, the Oilers were a stacked team.
Then at the 2:35 mark of overtime, Darrell Evans won it for the Kings and the comeback was complete. I would say the game was shocking because the Oilers blew an 5-goal lead to the Kings and very unexpectedly.
Even though I was casually watching and not rooting for anybody in particular. It was still a high-octane thrill ride. The Miracle on Manchester is still considered one of the most high-octane historical hockey games ever.
Welcome to all things haunted, horrifying, and hellish.
This horror game I will be talking about today is called Emily Wants to Play. It came out on December 10th, 2015. You portray a pizza delivery guy. You arrive and say, "Pizza's here," but no one is here. The house seems like it's vacant, but be aware, there are possessed dolls that have taken over the house. The dolls have been taken over by demonic spirits during the Puppet Master show, and they have taken over the house. You have to play games with them until 6 a.m. Does that sound familiar? It's like Five Nights at Freddy's, because you need to defeat them by shining lights and keeping up with stopping them by playing games. I will introduce you to the dolls that have been possessed. First one is called Kiki. She was a porcelain doll built by Vault Ladair, who was a puppeteer. She was made to entertain kids during Vault's show, along with other dolls I will be mentioning earlier on. There were 4 other dolls as well as Kiki. She was possessed by the mayor's daughter, who had a disease called cholera. She was infected by contamination. Her game is simply tag. Keep your eyes on her to stay safe from her jump scare. Mr. Tatters. He was a clown doll that Vault built. He destroyed a circus with a fire. He has a laugh like Santa Claus, but much deeper. He will stop the pizza delivery man in his tracks from moving around the house by stretching his arms out like a big hug. He has a top hat, red nose, and striped clothing. He will play red light, green light. Green means go, red means stop. As long as you play his game, you will be safe. Chester. He looks similar to Slappy the ventriloquist doll from the Goosebumps novel. He wears a black business suit with a white shirt, gray trousers, and black shoes. Yes, big steps when chasing the pizza guy. He has an evil laugh and screams when he's chasing. He is fast compared to the moderate rate of the others. Emily. When Emily was human, she was expelled from school from hurting another kid. Her mother suffered from depression. Her parents saw an improvement by having her socialize with strange dolls. She was staring at them from her bedroom, which startled her parents, and they become deeply disturbed by her actions. The possessed dolls eventually kill Emily, then her spirit possesses a doll too. She was pronounced dead by her parents. Later, the possessed doll kills Emily's parents too. In conclusion, this PC horror game is an awesome way to go back to childhood horror games. I really like Mr. Tatters the Clown because of how he stops with his arms and his evil, spine-tingling laugh. Players will be scared by the sudden jump scares and creepy characters in your way. I really think this game reminds me of the Conjuring movies because of the Annabelle doll who was possessed too. I highly recommend this game and give it a 4.5 out of 5 skulls. If I was a pizza man, I would not want to visit that house.